Start the recording. Okay, thanks for rejoining. I think we missing one person, but hopefully they'll join soon. So okay, so I think we configured. So this should open. So in the previous screen, so here we configured the connection monitor. So in the connection monitor, you can see here any failures. Right now there is no failure. So all the issues are will be notified because we are testing every 30 seconds. So if keep refreshing, then you will see any particular alert is notified for you or any failure. So this will help you most of the time. Like the application developer or architect or PMs, they don't use this functionality, but this functionality is mainly for the network team who look after this network on the particular application or the overall application, overall organization. So the main thing is here, right? Like when we say like we have a database, and from one particular VM you're trying to connect to those database. Normally what you will do, you provide the server name, database name, user ID and password, and then connection you are trying to establish, and it keeps saying denied, or you got some unknown error. You tried all your best, you granted access to yourself on the particular database, or even you give DB owner permission, but still not able to resolve it. Then what is the best way to find out? So as a developer, you still need to understand how the networking works and what are the networking components available. Then you can contact your network team in case they are also new. Practically you can find scenarios where you can just tell them like, why don't you do some connection monitoring testing? Can you tell me what is actually happening on the connection monitor? Is there any fail? If it is fail, what is the fail result? Is this fail result related to your particular scenario? Then okay, they're saying like, no, there is no error here. Then we go into IP flow testing. So we have various scenarios to test that. So I think this connection configuration we did. Now I'm going to do some IP flow verify testing connection. So now first I'm going to the IP flow verify on the connection. I think on the connection monitoring pane itself. This is and tool IP verify. So we are going to configure one testing. So subscription selected, and the resource group is the one we created, network watch demo group. And I'm going to select virtual machine backend, and the network interface for the backend is network with NIC card. So I selected the backend NIC card because I have only one. Then this communication is port 80 is a TCP, and inbound role we are going to test it. The local port for this, basically we have a private IP and public IP. So this is currently my private IP. So I'm going to test the local port 3389, and then the remote IP is my front-end VMs. So I'm providing this, and the port 3389 I'm going to verify. So I'm checking. Okay, so because I tried port 3389, it says the result. So from this, you can see now from the configuration we did, IP flow we are verifying from the backend to the front end VM, and this is currently shows access denied. and it also shows me security group and the NHG rule, and what is my network security group also it is specifying. If I go there, so you can see here 3389 is actually denied. So that is why the problem occurred. So now you will be able to connect the dots, like how one by one features are helping us, right? Is this scenario clear? Shall we explore the other functionalities?
Karthik, only one thing, why you give both the local and remote IP the same IP address?
No, it is a
And the,
different address.
oh, okay, okay.
So the IPs I gave for
Hmm.
the, so the second remote IP is I gave my, okay, so select backend VM, and this is your actual local IP, and the remote IP is my, you can see 10.1.
Okay,
This is 10.2, this is 10.1, and both I'm
okay,
testing
okay.
3389,
3389. Okay.
3389. So this is the real-time scenario, right? One VM is talking to another VM, and there is particular communication is blocked, and like scenario like you are trying to communicate for particular either database communication or any other communication. If you have issues, then you can simply come here and check your IP flow verify. That will tell you what is actually blocking. So because it is blocked by this energy group, then you can go to the effective security rule and you can select your resource group, and then you can select your front-end VM. I think this is sorry, backend VM. Both has the NIC cards, and each NIC cards has a network security group that will list out what are the rules are blocking. So here in this example, in the backend we don't have a problem, but whereas in the front end is the one we disabled. So this is showing your network rules, what is denying, and then the energy diagnostic. Do we have? So I think the energy diagnostic we said like what is the the energy group level. If you want to diagnose particular scenario, we'll be using. I think all of this we already theoretically explored, but the demo wise we don't have each scenarios, but we'll close with this example now today. So topology we verified, connection monitoring, these are like a live monitoring, but this diagnostic tool on the on demand basis, whenever the problem comes, then we will be verifying. Maybe like we can also quickly check the diagnostic logs and like network level diagnostic logs where we are creating. So I think network was. So normally when you want to enable logs, we need to verify to our subscription. Okay, I go to my subscription, and the subscription level there is something called resource provider. So any if we don't have the resource providers here, then sometime you will have issues with the communication. So now we know within the subscription, these are the resources or providers are enabled. So normally the logging functionality comes with Microsoft.insight, which is already registered. So then I'm going to check because the network level logging, you need a what is it, like you need a storage account, because like whenever the logs created for the network communication, this goes into your storage account, because the log file needed some storage. So now we need to create one storage account. So I go to my subscription, like a home. Sorry, so resource group and some resources, add resource. Storage account, and I'm going to create. So the previous resource group we created for the network watcher demo, I will use it. So network watcher demo I'm selecting, and storage account name, we can provide some unique name. So today MK Azure user group storage 20 okay, 03. So we're just creating a standard normal storage account. So storage account created. I'm just going to verify that network group. Yeah, so the storage account created here. So basically in this the previous scenarios, what we checked, like we created the sample application structure, and then we tried to use the topology, and then we also tried connection monitoring, then the IP flow testing. Now we are going to troubleshooting the network using the network watcher metrics and logs. So normally every application will have a log file. So we are now going to test the troubleshoot and understand the network watcher metrics and logs. So for that, first we need to enable the storage account, which we created here. Then I'm going to create a log analytical workspace, which will help us to monitor, because the Microsoft.Insight we already verified it is subscription level, it is enabled. Now we are going to create a log analytics. You might be familiar from the previous sessions. Log analytics is the one will help us to analyze the logs. So if I just go to my Azure portal, and I'm going to check like log analytics workspace. I think there is one default exist, but we will create the log analytical. So I'm going to provide my subscription name and the resource group. I think the previous resource group, the testing we are doing with this resource group, right? So selecting the same one, and we need to provide the name for the instance. So I'm just providing a test workspace, and the region same as the previous one, UK South. Then because the network workspace comes with the cost for everything is pay as you go model. So now we are going to go to the pricing tier where we are selecting pay as you go. So this is going to cost us per GB. Then I'm going to review and create. So once this log analytical report created, we are going to enable the flow logs. So now we created the storage account, we created the log analytical workspace. Workspace is the front-end tool for validating and monitoring the logs. Now we need to generate the logs, right? So to generate the logs, we need to first connect our network security group with our storage account, so that network security level, any problem comes, that will go and log it in the application. Is similar to any application you do the logging, right? So if you are working on a .NET application for any particular try catch method, in the catch method you are actually writing a logs. So that when you're writing a log, it goes into a particular log file, and the log file stored in a physical storage. Same way, we are going to so since now the log analytical created, now I'm going to my network security group, and I'm going to enable connect to that, to the storage account. So here I go to my resource group, I go to the resource group which I wanted. This is the my network security group. So I select my energy security group. So here in the monitoring, we are going to energy flow logs. This is the flow logs we are creating. And then, so here, this is currently, refresh. So currently it is disabled. I select, and I'm going to enable my flow logs. So when I enable, it is going to ask me storage account. I think, yeah, so there is a storage account option. So I'm going to select my storage account. So this is the one we created, and select OK. So I selected my storage account. Then in the traffic analytical section, I'm going to switch on this traffic analytics and traffic analytics process interval. This is also helping, like how frequently we wanted to log it. So for now, I'm going to select the lowest one every 10 minutes. Then we need to select our log analytics. So that's why before we configure this, we created our workspace. So workspace also selected here. Now I'm saving. What happened? Okay, so it is saved. Now I go back. So just to recap till now what we did. So we wanted to verify the network watcher level metrics and logs. So to generate the logs for a troubleshooting, because not every time the single monitoring tool helps, right? So sometime if that happen, somebody claimed a legal reason. They said like your service was not unavailable, and because of that we lost this much, and there is a legal complaints are going on. And if you want to verify, is that business what says, is it really issue happen? So the auditing team need a log files, right? So they may go like X number of days before logs and find out what problem happened, or when you are working on a production, suddenly the problem happened, you need a more, it is similar to .NET application or a Java application where you have a problem and you want to verify. So the application level, we most of us are familiar. The same way, network level, we need to generate a log files, and the log files will tell us what issues happening. If no issues, then no problem. If the problem happened, then that will tell you the exact troubleshooting information. Using that, you can troubleshoot. So for that, we created first storage account, and then we created our log analytical workspace. Then in our network security group, we actually configure the logs, generating the flow logs which the flow log settings we identified we need to enable along with the storage account and the log analytical workspace. Now all the setup is done. Now we need to generate the test traffic. So what I'm going to do with that, first I'm going to my front end virtual machine and I'm going to connect to this machine. So I'm going to say remote desktop. So as you know, when you're trying to do RDP, it is using port 3389 and I'm downloading RDP file. Once you download this, you select. So when you select the RDP file, you will get this screen. So now I need to provide my login details here. So as we know, at the time of creating this, we generated a password, and so I'm going to say my admin and enter my password. So I'm doing the RDP now. While I'm busy with this, if the session is going to end, someone can alert me before 1 minute, please.
Yeah, sure, Karthik. But we would have some time here now, I think, because another 7. Yeah.
Okay. So I logged into the front end VM. So I'm opening my PowerShell here and say so from here I'm going to test connection. So this is going to basically I'm testing the network connection on this particular IP port 80. So this is, as you know, when the front end is trying to talk to back end, the communication is blocked port 80 and 443 and 3389. So because I'm testing a port 80, obviously this will say fail as our energy group configured in such a way. So now we got the error message. So if I run a couple of times, so now we can also note the time, what time we are testing. 04. Okay, so we have tried a couple of times. This communication from this VM to other VM is failed, and now we need to diagnose the problem. So if someone says like typical scenario, you are an engineer or a developer, you got a machine. From this machine, you are trying to talk to the other machine SQL server, and when you are making a connection string, it is failing. Then you try to ping this to this test network communication, which is also says fail. Then you tell your network engineer to do this diagnostic through the log analytical report, because not everyone will have access to all the resources in Azure. So now you are going to ask them to check the log analytical workspace. So I minimize this and I go to my resource group and resources, where I'm going to select my log analytical workspace. So here so okay, sorry, 1 minute. I'm just going to network watcher. Under the logs, energy flow logs. So this is what we configure. So traffic, we are going to verify the traffic and refresh. So our workspace selected, we could not find any data. Probably like we just need to wait for a couple of minutes. Logs under traffic analytics. Okay, so now the report is generated log files, because sometimes it takes time to generate the logs and reflect in the dashboard. So now you can see when I select my test workspace, I can see the reports. So right now I'm not seeing any errors. Technically I should see the error message, what we verified from that. Let me check the logs from directly on the. When we, I think this session is going to end. When we explored previously our storage accounts at the time, I think this particular point was missed. So whenever you want to connect to any storage account and find out the storage account, what storage account we have and what are the files are there. There is something called Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer. This is a Windows client. You can download and install in your laptop. Once you installed, you can connect to your Azure subscription. Once you connected, you can see all of your storage account and the storage account files as well. So here you can see. So I have my the storage account we created today. So inside logs, network security, and this should show our logs. So this shows the log file here, and this is how another way you can verify the log file, open and verify. So because now we know that the problem is actually happened from the energy group, we are going to quickly enable that. So I'm going to fix the problem. So I think we have 8 minutes, right? So we'll close it. I think in 8 minutes we'll finish our session. So we don't need another one. So I'm quickly going to my energy group and I'm going to select this rule and say this is destination port, inbound security, and if I say like any, if I remove this and say any, Sorry, I'm in the my energy and the port inbound setting rule where I have this particular rule. The source field is any, and service tags, because this is currently blocked, destination port is port 443 is denied. I'm going to change this to internet now. Remove and then say any protocol. Hello. Okay, so port 80 443 and 3389. Instead of deny, I think I'll just make it allow and save. And quickly go to same machine and try to do the network testing. Still failed. So change it to source service tag internet. So source is, I think the DNS still remains same, but this can go into internet, save. Okay, so now we removed that communication, and the scenario what we have seen. So we have another 4 minutes. Quickly, I'll give you the summary what we have done today. So using this log files, like we understand the network security, the network watcher contains the features which can be useful for troubleshooting the monitoring, or like the live monitoring as well as troubleshooting. So we saw that monitoring features topology, connection monitoring, and we also verified IP flow verify through the diagnostic tools. And the next step, we want to go one level lower level. So lower level, we created energy flow logs for the energy, and particular energy has any communication problem that we want to verify through storage account. So we created the storage account for storing these logs. We also created the log analytical workspace. Through that, we can verify the logs. And then the traffics, we also identified the where the problem occurred, because we know that the front end VM is not talking to back end VM. So what we did, we saw that the problem actually occurred on the energy group rule level. So that rule was denied. Now since we removed that rule to allow from the request from internet, then we are able to see the communication, test communication works fine. So through this is one of the simple scenario how we fixed a small problem. The same way, this can be expanded into complex scenarios. So now you are familiar the list of monitoring and diagnostics tools available for networking. Also, you familiar with the other supporting components like a log analytical report, etc. So this covers our session, and we are able to conclude today with this network. Sorry. So today we are completed the part 2 of the network architecture. So architecting network infrastructure completing today. Then we will focus on the data side next week. And yeah, I think hope you all enjoyed today's session. I think a little bit slow in the middle because I was not a little bit prepared for some of the demo. I'm sorry for that. That's why it takes some time for me to go through the material and walk you through. So yeah, if you have any questions, please ask me. We have another 1.5 minute.